Hey guys, welcome to my channel once more. Okay, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for subscribing, watching and following me. I got a lot of good vibes off and on my YouTube channel, and I just want to say thank you. And today I want to be discussing something very personal to me, and that is how a director or filmmaker can carve a niche for himself or for herself in the film industry. This is a very special topic for me because, you know, every day we compete against the big guys, and I want to specifically speak to indie filmmakers, that's independent filmmakers, and those who do not have as much money as the big guys have. Of course, every day we are in a competition where the likes of the big guys like Netflix, the big guys like Disney, the big guys like African Magic, Iroko, our own Iroko TV, our own African Magic, our own, all the cable TV that you may think about, and in fact all the big guys, including YouTube, including Facebook, they're all into one thing. Everybody's competing for attention. And so I want to share with you, especially the independent filmmakers, how you can carve a niche for yourself and then let your voice be heard, all right, and let people get to know who you are and how you can progressively build a brand for yourself as a filmmaker. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Now, one of the greatest false or fallacies I've heard in the industry is that when you're carving a niche for yourself, it should be genre specific. That is, you should be creating a certain form of genre. For instance, some people will say go for epic, be known for epic, be known for romance, be known for drama, be known for this. Now, in its right sense, when the big guys are competing, that can be a genre for them, that can be a niche for them. For instance, Marvel Studios are known to produce superhero movies, all right? Some other big studios are known to produce rom-coms, comedies. Some others are known to produce social drama and all of that. Now that is so generic, that is big when it comes to independent filmmaking. All right, you cannot carve a niche for yourself by being known for maybe doing comedy or being known for doing action movies, and you think that's a niche. No, that's you. That is like a small fish being thrown into a big ocean. All right. Okay, let's take for instance, if you make, let's say, a comedy with, let's say, 1 million naira. And let's say the likes of Mo Abudu makes a comedy with like 50 million naira and spend maybe another 20 million naira in the publicity. Who do you think is going to sell more? Obviously, the big guys are going to take over the market. So when you come to genre classification, you cannot carve a niche going by genre as a filmmaker, as a director. No. I always advise that as an independent filmmaker, look for specific identity movies. Now, let me break it down. Now, if you are making a movie for a particular identity, for instance, what is identity? Identity is where people tend to, perceive themselves as a member of a certain group. Okay, for instance, let's say the LGBT community. That's those who are trying to raise a voice for same-sex marriage and all of that. Now that's a niche, that's an identity. Or for instance, you are making a movie that is for social impact. Now, I'm not saying your movie should not entertain, but I'm saying you have to find an identity that you can make a movie for. Now, if you make a movie for a particular identity, chances are that when they gather to try to seek for movies to watch, they're not going to go for the big guys that are making more of a generic film. Somebody can actually make a comedy or make a serious drama or make a superhero drama or make any kind of film or any kind of genre using these identities. But the difference between you being specific, in making identity-driven films and them that are making genre or generic specific movies is that the genres are larger frame, and because they have money to entertain or publicize or build, they tend to have more attention because all we are trying to do, we are competing for attention. So as an independent filmmaker who has very little money, concentrate on building content, concentrate on creating films, concentrate on making films that are identity specific. And how do you do that? So I'm now going to show you 3 major ways that you can use to, create a niche for yourself and be known for something, so that when people who are seeking to find movies in that regard, for instance, we at Uche Media, my company, what we say that we are a solution-based company. So we are targeting at creating movies that are solution-based. For instance, there's an issue of armed robbery in the society, and we make a movie specifically in campaigning against that and how people can, curb robbery in the society. Now, what is that? That is more like a edutainment, which means there's a niche we are driving towards. So when people talk about movies that are purely an edutainment movies, they know they are looking for Uche Media. They know they are looking for a particular company. All right. So as an independent filmmaker, it's just all right for you to find ways that you can create a niche that people will now begin to say, okay, oh wow, this guy is known for this. Not that this guy is known for comedy, no, because you can be making comedies and the big guys are also making comedy. That's why I say it's not, don't aspire to make movies or be known for genre. Don't carve a niche using genre specifications. Carve a niche using identity specification. That movie you want to make, find a community, a particular community, and make that movie for that particular community. And the identities of people are grouped in different communities. For instance, there are the upper trendy young folks who have a particular way of consuming media content. Are you, deliberately make any kind of genre you want to make? Are you deliberately making the film to suit the need of these young fellows, or are you just making, random generic contents, hoping that these young fellows will adapt to it? So when I say make an identity-driven content so that you will be known for something, I mean any community, any group of identity of people that you want to make a movie for, be very specific. Tailor your content down to meeting their needs. Are you making movies for retired civil servants? That is a group of identical people. That's a group of people. Now, if your movies are targeted at retired people, now if we have, like, let's say 100 million retired people in Nigeria, whenever they gather to talk about their needs, their plights, someone will mention that there's a movie that talks about us. Now, that is, it doesn't matter whether it's comedy, it's action, it's whatever, but it has an identity look. It has something that is created for a specific group of people. Now, that is the way that indie filmmakers, young people who are still trying to, find their feet in the industry, can be heard. Because no matter how big, no matter how creative you are, you will always you find it always a very big task, to compete with those people who have the money, or those people who have the wherewithal to, throw around. They will always drown your own content using their financial capacities. So it is important that you build your own niche around an identity as you are standing up. Another way that an independent filmmaker or a young filmmaker hoping to have his or her voice be heard is to start making short films. Now, one of the things that short film does for you is that it helps you to experiment. So you may not start up making feature films immediately. There is an easier way to get around it. You can start off with short films, and luckily for you, there are many platforms now that that accept short films, and then you can even try out to gather your own kind of audience using the YouTube platform that is exclusively free for filmmakers to exploit. One of the problems that most filmmakers have is they come up with ideas and they want to go into feature-length films immediately, and they don't have actually the financial capacity to build that to create the kind of film they want to create. And rather than start with short so that people can see the production value they are bringing to the table, they want to start with feature. And then at the end of the day, you end up making feature that is below standard because the financial capacity to run that particular long feature length film that you want to make, you don't have it yet. So as an independent filmmaker, as a young filmmaker, as a director, trying to find your voice in the industry and then trying to get people to listen to you, to know what you can do, you need to you might want to consider starting with short film. All right, that is another way. Then you should also consider that every director should have a directorial vision. Some other people call it directorial concept, which is like the identity or the style of the director or the filmmaker. So the question now is, when people see your film, what will you be remembered for? Or are you making a film like, even when you make that short film, it becomes like one of those entertainment films that people just see and they move around and they move to the next thing. Okay, they'll be like, oh, the movie is nice, and that's it. Nobody remembers it anymore. Nobody talks about it anymore. Nobody wants to even watch it again. Is that the kind of film? If that's the kind of film you make, it's entertaining, but nobody remembers it. It means you will probably not find your voice. You probably not be noticed, because the big guys are also making films that entertain. So what's the difference between you and the big guys? So at the end of the day, people just watch the film and then they take it as one of those movies and then they move on. So if you're going to experiment with short films, make sure that they are films that when people watch, they want to watch it over and over again. It can trigger off a conversation. People can start talking about it. And the more and more people talk about it, the more and more people get to notice you. So in creating or carving a niche for yourself, you can start with short film. But whereas you start with short films, don't just do a movie just to entertain, just for entertainment's sake. Do movies that will create conversation. Be audacious. Make movies that people will want to watch over and over again and want to debate about. All right. One of the famous movies that I've watched, even though it's not short, it's feature length, that came from my mentor Tyler Perry, is Acrimony. Now, notice how we talked about Acrimony for months after that movie was screened. Even as I'm talking to you now, if you have seen Acrimony before, the thoughts of what went wrong, what went right, how did this guy make this decision, how did this lady make this decision, who is wrong, who is right, is still buzzing in your head. That is how to create movies and be noticed. So if you must make movies in an attempt to carve a niche, it must not be genre driven, like I said earlier. It has to be something that will create a conversation. So start with short films, but make sure that short film is one that can create a conversation going. Make sure it is something that will make people want to, who ask questions like, who made this movie? Who is behind it? Who is the director? It is easy to remember the actor, but it is very easy also to forget the filmmaker. So how would you want people to, remember you? One of the things I used to do when I was starting off is to kill my lead character. Most of the time, the good guys are the guys I kill. So there are so many scripts that I've sent to people and they disagree with me and they say they don't want to do it. You know why? Because the actor feels that it's not logical. To him, it's not logical. But for me, I wanted to create attention. I wanted people to watch it and be like, wow, so what did this guy do? I mean, there's a movie I did, it's called Obe. In the entire script, all the bad guys later survived. Only the one single good person in the film died. And, a lot of people ask questions. Why should it be this guy? Why? And a lot of people wanted to know, who is this filmmaker that is irrational in thinking? So you use your movies, whether it is short film or whatever kind of film, to create conversation. If you can create conversation going on using your directorial concept, using your directorial style to create a conversation going on, then you have already carved a niche. Then people will now begin to talk about you based on that area. Don't forget that I said first is to identify an identity, a community of identities that you can, make films for. A community that you can make film for, and it will relate to them and they will talk about you. And then assuming you make that film and you succeed to generate conversation among the community, you notice that more and more people from that community will begin to patronize you, and that is one way that you can discover your voice and become a niche created filmmaker in the industry. Okay, the last point I would like you to consider, but before I do that, please make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the subscription button, and also let me know what else you want me to talk about in the comment section below, all right? Okay, so the last thing I want to share with you that will help you as a filmmaker or as a director or as an independent filmmaker trying to find your voice in the industry is make sure you create authenticity of style. You see, it's easy to copy people, copy the big guys, want to do what they have done and all of that. But at the end of the day, Notice that filmmaking is all about storytelling. And how do you tell your own story? For instance, if I have a story of, let's say I was going out to meet my girlfriend, and then my leg hit on the stone and I got injured. I was rushed to the hospital. I couldn't meet up with the girl, and then at the end of the day, the girl broke up with me because I didn't attend the date, and it ended up for me not happy ever after. Now that's my story. Now if I'm going to tell that story, the way I will tell it, even if I'm narrating it with my mouth, the way I will tell it will be different from the way you are going to tell it. And so that is about authenticity of style. So make sure that you're not copying what you have watched in Hollywood, what you have watched in Nollywood, what you have watched in Bollywood. Make sure that you're not copying it and trying to, use the style that you have watched. Create a style for yourself. How do you tell a story and people will remember that somebody told this story? How are you going to tell your story even if you are going to use your mouth to narrate it? Now we're asking you to use your camera to create a style for yourself. Let your style be authentic. Let it be original. Let it be only you. Let it be known that this is what you are known for. All right? Now, by the time you first and foremost make a movie that is niche related, which is majorly making a movie that is community of identities, like I mentioned earlier, I gave examples like the retired civil servants, or maybe you are making a movie for entrepreneurs, or maybe you are making a movie specific, class of people. You are making movies for them. That's the first point. The second point is majorly to start with short films that would generate conversation. Even if you have money to make feature-length films, let it be movie that will generate conversations. Let it not just be movie that people will see and be like, oh, well, it's one of those movies, it entertained us, oh, well, we move to the next one. Make sure that you create things that will generate conversation. Because the more and more conversation people have, the more and more they get to talk about you. And then lastly, I talked about authenticity of style. Make sure that your style is authentic, is only applicable to you. Your style of storytelling is something that no other person can, copy and do it right, because that is for you. So in creating your own style in the cinema or in filmmaking and whatever, make sure it is unique, original, authentic to you and to you alone. Okay, that's about it on how you can create your own niche in the industry. Remember, my focus today was exactly for independent filmmakers and upcoming directors and filmmakers and what have you that do not have as much money as the big guys out there have, and you cannot compete when you do the same thing that they do, because the media content is just everywhere and everybody is seeking for attention. So rather than become the small fish that they will throw into the ocean and your impact is not felt, it is okay for you to carve a niche for yourself and stay focused on that lane until you're able to blossom or become big for you to try other stuffs. All right, okay, so please, if you like what I've said, please give me a thumbs up. If you do not, let me know why you don't like it on the comment section below. There are many other things I want to talk about, but I want you to be the one that will suggest for me in my next video. So please, what will you want me to talk about in any area of filmmaking, creativity, and how to discover talent, utilize it, anyway, anything at all that you feel I should talk about? All right, let me know on the comment section below, and then I will talk about it in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Please hit that button, subscription button, and make sure you turn on the notification button, because I drop videos every other week. All right, so that you get to know more about what I say here and how I share my story and my journey, both in the creative industry and in the entertainment industry. All right, thank you so very much for watching. My name is still remain Uche Agbo.